Hello and welcome to Business Today. I'm Siddharth Zarabi and you're watching Easynomics, our special made for YouTube explainer and information capsule about the major news of the day. On today's episode, I'm going to talk about Air India, now owned by the Tatas as you know, and what could be, as per reports, one of the largest orders in Air India's history and amongst the largest orders in India's civil aviation history. I'm talking about various news reports of purchase of at least 200 to 300. There are two different reports. One report says 200 planes over 5 years, another report says 300 up to 300 planes. But whatever the final number be, the company hasn't yet officially put out a number. They are still in the process of working out that plan, but this will be a game changer for you, the user of various plane services in India, to fly within India and to go overseas. Why is that? Air India once had a dominant market share. It was one of the best airlines in the world. The Maharaja, that much loved symbol and brand and identity and logo of Air India, was recognized across the world, and the hospitality of Air India was very well known. It was in a way snatched from the hands of the Tatas. Mr. J.R.D. Tata had set it up. He was very passionate about flying. It was run by government bureaucrats, and in fact not just run, it was run into the ground by the political administrative setup. The last order that Air India had placed was 2006, and even that was mired with massive controversies and scandals and investigations on alleged corruption. But we leave that aside. Now Air India is not a burden on the national exchequer. It is not a burden on the taxpayer, at least for the future. The old debt has been taken over by the government to a very large extent, and that will continue to be serviced. Nothing could have been done because there was no other buyer who would have taken on the responsibility of running such a large organization with such a large number of employees. But the Tatas have been gradually making changes. They haven't so far gone in for a big bang approach, because this is after all a company with a long history and also with many problems that have crept into its operational structure over several decades of being in government control. But that is slowly and gradually changing, and this big order, because remember, in government, purchases are a huge issue. You know the saga of purchases of fighter aircraft, which has happened over the decades. This civil aviation aircraft deal in 2006 had also come under a big cloud. Now with this deal under the Tatas, there are two or three things that will impact your flight patterns in a way. Number one, Air India will have much greater capacity to offer both within India on domestic routes and for international. And remember, Air India has a huge advantage. Those who are frequent flyers or otherwise know that it's the only airline out of India which does non-stop flights, distant flights to the North American continent on both sides of the American coast. It takes direct flights to Australia and some other destinations, and many aviation experts say that for Indians to fly non-stop, save time, and for families to connect, for old people who are traveling to meet their children, we have after all such a large NRI community. A direct flight makes better sense, and that is why Air India has a great advantage. As it gets more planes, it will have more capacity to offer on international as well as domestic routes. In the domestic market, as we know, Indigo has basically not been challenged by anyone over the last so many years. It's a great airline, but Air India will bring in much needed competition, and that competition, point number two, could translate into a better and more competitively priced offering. I am not using the word price war because I don't think in the current scenario, at least for some time, we will see a price war situation. Aviation turbine fuel prices are very high, government taxes are very high, and that prevents and it acts as a hindrance. Plus, there are price caps due to COVID that the government have imposed and they have not been taken away. Once that phase gets over, and eventually once these planes add to Air India's capacity, because it is not going to happen here overnight, you will have more capacity, more seats, and those more seats, more frequency of flights, both on heavy routes as well as lesser served routes, improves the market, it broadens the market. That's point number 2. And finally, point number 3, more planes mean more pilots to fly them, more crew, more in-cabin crew, more ground crew, and that means more jobs. In an environment where jobs are the biggest priority concern for the youth of India, this is going to be good news. Any airline, any business in India which is manpower intensive to the extent that civil aviation is, for example, it is good news for overall job growth and aggregate economic growth, because if on international routes Air India decides to ultimately, over the next few years, I repeat, it's not going to happen overnight, if it decides to compete intensively, it will win back market share that has been taken away by the Gulf carriers. Out of every 10 flyers who fly overseas, 8 to 9 are on foreign airlines. This is a unique situation for a country of the size of India with so many passengers. I don't think any other country has a situation where the aviation companies of other countries have so much market share, and this is due to various wrong decisions and perhaps decision not taken with good intent in the past decades that it has led to this situation, including the surrender of bilateral rights as well. But that is the past. The future looks better, certainly for Air India, for its employees, and for you, the flyer, because more competition, more planes, and a well-run, privately managed organization could lead to a more sustainable growth in our aviation industry. It will reduce time and increase the comfort for travel for millions and millions of Indians, and hopefully get more of them, even international travelers, to come and visit India. That's all I have on today's episode of Easynomics. I'll come back with more. Till then, keep tuning in. Do like, share, and subscribe. Goodbye. I'll see you again.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share, and subscribe.